The Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary event has come and gone, but we were left with tons of good stuff. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, Crisis Core Remaster / Remake, and of course, the big one, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake. Lots of stuff to talk about. But first, some good news and some bad news. Good news first. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade has come to Steam, and what's cool is that it's Steam Deck approved, meaning that if you're somehow able to get yourself a Steam Deck, you can have Final Fantasy VII Remake on the go. And now I really need to get a Steam Deck. But here's the bad news. For anyone waiting for Final Fantasy VII Remake on the Xbox, you're gonna have to keep waiting, unfortunately. And at this point, I'm starting to think that it'll never come to Xbox. Pretty unfortunate. But let's move on to the good stuff. First is Ever Crisis, which is looking really good in my opinion. It basically looks like how original Final Fantasy VII would look if you updated the character models and backgrounds. It looks like the battles are turn-based, but they're definitely not how they originally were. As long as it's good, I'm down for whatever it is. And of course, there's the gacha. We see Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith with these new outfits and weapons. I don't really care much for gacha, but I'm really looking forward to experiencing the entire compilation of Final Fantasy VII in this way whenever we finally get Ever Crisis. I just wish that it wasn't exclusive to mobile. Next, we see a trailer for Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, which is basically a remaster of the PSP game. Honestly, it looks so good that it could be mistaken for a remake. The original Crisis Core has been stuck exclusively on the PSP, so it's nice to finally see it come back. And it's on everything. PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. So no matter what you're playing on, you'll have access to Crisis Core this winter. Pretty cool. It is kind of weird that Crisis Core is coming to Xbox but not Remake. I wonder what that's about. And last but not least, the thing that we've all been waiting for. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, which we can now call Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, got its first trailer and I love it. It didn't show too much, but it was just enough to get me hyped, and we got a release window being next winter, and it's exclusive to PS5. I honestly was not expecting that. I thought we'd get Part 2 no earlier than 2024 considering Final Fantasy 16 is next summer, but I guess I was wrong, and I'm glad to be wrong. And on top of that, we got confirmation of the Final Fantasy VII Remake project being a trilogy. And I think it's safe to assume that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be huge, considering how much it would have to cover for there to only be one more part after. I have some ideas of how much Rebirth could cover, but that'll have to be for a later video. So what do you think? I think it's safe to say that if you're a fan of Final Fantasy VII, that we're going to be eating good for a while. We have Ever Crisis sometime this year, Crisis Core this winter, and then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth next winter. I don't know about you all, but I'm hyped and I can't wait to get more info. We're going to be talking a lot about Final Fantasy VII, so you're going to want to subscribe so that you don't miss my videos. And don't forget to hit that like button if you like this video. I'm Mako and thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one, so until then, take care.